You are listening to the Tiny Vet podcast with me, Dr. Nicole Su, and my fiance.
That's me!
Jez Watts.
Hello.
Trained neuroscientist, natural born
Idiot.
man. Currently a comedian.
Hello, yes.
And we are going to be talking about blood testing today because there's also a lot of misconceptions that come around with blood testing
Okay.
and what we actually get back from it. Did you do any of that at all? Are you familiar with that kind of realm of...
I'll be honest, when you say blood testing, the first thing that comes to mind is testing to see if something is blood. Like, that's...
okay.
I mean, maybe it'll bring something back from the lab, I don't know. But I don't even know what you're looking for in the blood.
Interesting. All right, so blood testing, basically you take a sample of blood from human, animal, whatever, and you send it to the lab and you can't get back a bunch of parameters. So you're measuring things that are normally in the blood that are markers of organ function.
Like enzymes and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. You have that liver problem, so that's what they were testing.
Yeah,
for your
I
liver.
had to get my blood tested. They said I have blood. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's normal. They texted me that it was normal, and as far as I know, that means I have blood.
The assumption is that what you've sent in is blood, but your liver testing would have measured a few different enzymes. So one called ALT, and another one called ALP. And those are things
I don't like ALP. I'm a Greens voter.
I'm not native-born Australian, as I'm sure you can tell from my accent, and some of these things slip past me.
Yeah. I used to be ALP before I really thought about it, and then I was like, climate change is fucking serious.
It is very serious. Anyway,
vote green blood.
There are other
like the Hulk.
markers in blood, so it's not just liver. You can look at muscle damage enzymes. You look at waste product that are supposed to be cleared by certain organs like the kidneys. So it doesn't come back with a diagnosis. If you send off a blood test, it doesn't come back and say, Fluffy has necrotizing fasciitis. It comes back with these things that we have to interpret in addition to our physical exam findings.
Yeah, right.
In addition with
it's more of the picture.
Yeah, it basically is an information gathering exercise. Yeah, so it doesn't come back with one thing. We've got to put all the pieces.
Sometimes it would though, right? Like sometimes you'd be like, oh, I know what that.
Oh, 100%.
That I know what that disease.
Yeah,
means.
It comes back.
If it's this, then it's definitely that.
Yeah, so it comes back as so that kind of information you get back is what we call pathognomonic, which means that this set of particular values is very characteristic of a certain disease.
Okay,
but it's not common. Like, for example, one thing that would make me go, okay, I know what this is, if I got blood results back, is if the white blood cell count is through the roof.
Then it's a bird.
No.
Okay.
Of one particular white blood cell. No.
Duck.
Pretty much consistent through
Echidna.
most animals. Actually, this will be consistent.
Okay.
So if it comes back as really a super high count of white blood cells with lymphocytes in particular, I go, oh
is that
god.
Infection?
Well, potentially, but if it's just lymphocytes,
I remember from being a scientist.
Yeah, he does obviously
many
does
years
not
ago.
remember.
I'm like, what blood cells is about that, right?
He doesn't remember, but just lymphocytes. I go, oh, you might have lymphoma.
Oh, like a
blood cancer.
Yeah.
Whereas for infection, I would expect to see a high cell count of a different type of cell. So neutrophils.
Neutrophils. I remember neutrophils.
Yeah, neutrophils. So your body
real big.
Yeah, and they got funny shapes. And
I had
stuff.
to learn microscopy. Yeah, sure.
So that would be more indicative of an infection. If that counts high rather than lymphocytes.
Okay, right.
So yes, there are definitely some things where you go, okay, cool. This is very characteristic of this particular disease process. I know what this is. However, a lot of times, what you've got to do is interpret all the blood results and then think about the physical exam of the patient. Think about the signalement of the patient, which is just age, breed.
What's like a likely disease or whatever at that age.
Yeah, and then you come up with your list of differential diagnoses. So you go, all right, well, this is my top one, and then I've got, maybe 3 or 4 others that could be...
That's DX, right?
Yeah, DX.
I've seen this written down at the house. Yeah.
And from then on, then you can go, all right, I think the most likely one is this is why, and then you speak to the owner about it.
Right.
So a lot of people think we send off a test and it comes back as, they've got this, and that's actually really inaccurate. And that's also another reason why sometimes, and I always feel bad about this, let's say we've done blood testing.
How long does it take to do blood testing?
24 hours.
Okay.
You can do in-clinic ones as well. It take about 15 minutes, but they're not as comprehensive.
Okay.
And sometimes I do feel bad about this all the time, where I'll go, hey, remember that set of testing that we sent off 2 days ago? I need to do it again. And the reason why I ask this sometimes is because the parameters change, like, day to day, hour to hour, and sometimes I do need to repeat a test to maybe confirm one of my differential diagnoses,
Right.
or to monitor where the situation's going. I feel so bad about it because I was like, I know we've just done this.
You mean like to the lab you feel bad?
No, to the owner, because he got to pay for it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel really bad every time I ask this. Everyone's always very nice about it, but it is something where, a biological system is dynamic.
How much does it cost to get blood tested?
$300.
It's like a flat fee?
Yeah, pretty much. So that covers like our fee for disposables and taking the blood, sending the blood to the lab. That's a blood and urine as well, so it's a really comprehensive look at whatever's going on underneath the surface. And the other thing as well, like sometimes...
What if I want to do blood testing at home? Can I do that?
I'm not sure what you'd use to do it.
Well, I get a bucket for the blood.
Yep.
And then I would
Checks out.
Put it under a glass, like a sheet.
Yeah, okay. I can tell you where this is going now, and you're going to get a bucket.
A magnifying glass.
You're going to get a bucket of rotting blood.
I'm just saying, I want to help. And I don't have any money. How do I get a cheap blood test?
Well, you can do the in-house ones. The in-house ones are about $40 cost to the clinic. So,
is it less accurate or just less stuff you're looking at?
Less stuff you're looking at. Also less accurate as well.
Yeah.
So you can get it cheaper. But generally we do send them out. The other thing that I find as well, people get kind of disappointed when it comes back as normal.
Well, because you want to find out.
You want to find out stuff, but
right?
also, just because it comes back as normal doesn't mean we haven't found out stuff. We know that all these organ systems are functioning okay.
Yeah,
and that means we actually rule out a lot of things. So it's not a waste of money, it's not a waste of time. We've actually found out a lot about what's going on, even if it comes back as normal.
Yeah, this is like, that puts me in mind of like when I used to do science. And it's like, if you would like do an experiment or whatever, you have negative results, and then they say, oh no, if you publish negative results, that shows that you didn't find anything. That's still of value.
Yeah.
But it feels dumb.
It feels silly.
Goddamn time.
And I mean, I've been a vet for 7 years.
If I send blood, I want them to come back with leprosy. So I know. Okay, cut the leg off, I guess, is the treatment for leprosy. I don't know. But yeah, I can see how it's super disappointing.
It is.
You paid $300, you want an answer.
You want absolutely, but it's that's how diagnosing normally goes. Yeah, and while we're on that subject, we are now going to head off and drain Jez of his blood. Goodbye. The Tiny Vet podcast is brought to you by Upilio. Sources for our topics can be found at upilio.io. Outro music by Matt Charleston.